Team, a few weeks ago, I put up a little question on Jono Luke's podcast around camo gear and what to actually use when you're washing it to get rid of the scent, and the response has been overwhelming, so thank you guys so much. There's been some really cool answers and some very funny answers as well. Things from bicarb soda to vinegar, don't put them together because otherwise you will get a little science volcano in your washing machine, but you can actually just get basic washing powders that will work as long as they're UV free, so not one that will not bring out the colors as such. I also had some responses around using eucalyptus leaves, so layering them within a bag once you've used them to layer your clothes on top of the eucalyptus leaves, and also after killing an animal to do that in the meat bag that you've used or your backpack to make sure that you don't have the ongoing smell of meat. So that's also probably worth a little check out. But thank you very much for your overwhelming response. As always, keep true to yourself, keep true to bow hunting. You guys are freaking incredible. I hope you enjoy this episode with Elissa.
Hey there, and welcome to Becoming a Bowhunter. I'm your host, Matty, and join me and our guests as we take the quality of meat back into our own hands, searching the wild for free-ranged animals to harvest as ethically as we can. I interview a variety of specialists from the bow hunting community to help fast-track your journey as a bow hunter. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this chinwag on one of your favorite topics in the world, bow hunting. Awesome. Well, guys, welcome back to another week of Becoming a Bow Hunter. I'm Matthias Turner, and this week I have Elissa Rosemond with me. Elissa, thank you so much for joining me, mate.
You're welcome. I'm a little bit nervous, but we'll get it all out there.
Nah, you're doing really well. It's just a local chat, just as if we're having a coffee. Instead, you've got a rum and I've got some water. So
That's it.
So I mean, mate, for you, like, when did you start bow hunting? How did you get into the sport?
Back in 2011, it was with my ex-partner. He did a lot of archery and hunting. Mm-hmm. I sort of grew up learning how to shoot with my dad and, trapping, and then I went to dog hunting. But 2011 was the start of bow hunting for me. I got a bow probably 2 months prior to going to my first trip to Cape York. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, there was a lot to be learned, and I tried to get it all sorted within that 2 months. But, yeah, I managed to take a few good hog swallows up there on my first trip. So
far out, what a rush. In regards to that, like, how many things do you think transition from the hunting that you did before? So, I mean, obviously you said you had the trapping, you had the shooting, and then you also had the dog hunting. How much of that do you think transitions into bow hunting?
Well, like when you're shooting a rifle, obviously it's easier to shoot from a long distance and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think bow hunting really teaches you to learn how to read the animals, their movements. So if a pig's ears are going, tail's going, it's happily feeding, doesn't even know you're there. And as soon as those ears stop or the tail stops, the pig knows you're there. So knowing to read the animals and to get up close and personal with them, and to take someone at 10 yards or closer, you're really learning to understand the animals. And also from hunting with dogs or with a rifle, you do a lot of kilometers either way, but I think you really got to have a lot of patience with bow hunting. Like, some days you could spend hours stalking on an animal, and you might draw back, and that instant you draw back, you feel that slight breeze hit the back of your neck and it's all over. But that's just bow hunting, I believe. But you still do the hard yards no matter what. Like, you're still looking for animals, you're still glassing animals. But bow hunting, there's just something about it. It's like a bug. It's patience, it's persistence, it's nerve-wracking, it's adrenaline overload, it's emotional, it's depressing at times. It's like just getting on a big roller coaster at a show, and, the big dipper or something, and it hits you all at once with bow hunting, I believe.
Yeah, I reckon. There's definitely some long days you put in, some long hard slogs, and I think what I love about it most is that it doesn't give you instant gratification. So I mean, like Facebook and Instagram and all those things that we have around us right now, it's like you get that hit of dopamine straight away. Whereas with bow hunting, I'll go out for a whole weekend and I'll just see a deer, for instance, and that's enough for me to be on a high for the rest of the week. Like it's pretty incredible what it can do for you, even if it is frustrating as hell sometimes.
Yeah, that's it. And like, I like, it doesn't have to be a trophy, or it could be just a meat animal, or it could be just taking a photo of a deer. Like, it could be anything. Just being in the outdoors, seeing the sunset or sunrise, or it could be like sleet falling out the sky, or like this time of the year down home. But yeah, just it could be just anything. Just being in the bush with a bow over your shoulder and a backpack on and a little headlamp, walking in the dark, waiting for that sun to rise. It's pretty cool. Like, it's just a good feeling, I believe.
Yeah, those little intricacies of the bush are incredible. Like as you're walking through and just like, for instance, I went out on a hunt with a mate and we saw some itchy grubs. Like it's literally the caterpillars they're covered in fur. And if you touch them, they're itchy. There was literally 1,000 of them, and they were moving from one nest to another nest, and they were moving head to tail. And it's something that you'd never see anywhere unless you're out in the bush. Like those little experiences like that. And we stopped and we took photos of them we were probably there for like 10 minutes hanging out with them. And he accidentally bumped one of the top ones, and it split the group. And they just literally got lost, and
got
they
confused.
just started kept going. We're like, well, we can't touch them because they're so itchy. But I mean, things like that, like it's just the crazy little things that you see, like the plants that you see, the things like I'm really starting to get a lot more into foraging and figuring out what foods are edible compared to what things are not. When you're out in the wild and seeing heaps of mushrooms with all the rain that's been about recently, or more so a few months ago when I was getting out, like over April. It's just so cool to see all that stuff and start to learn and take note of all those things. It's kind of like all the stuff that our ancestors would have lived off of and thrived off of, yet we just have it so easy now, right? So we just go to the shop and we can buy all of this food that we want, whereas the act of getting out and hunting and kind of fighting for your own meat and fighting for your own food, it really kind of interests me. It seems just kind of innate. And I think that's probably why a lot of people do really like bow hunting and why we are kind of drawn to it. For you, do you do it for trophies? Do you do it for meat?
I believe there's certain properties where, like, a farmer would just say, get rid of everything. Mm-hmm. Or, we want meat for our dogs, or, if you get this.
There goes my dog, sorry.
You're right. Like, it's anything is a trophy to me taken with a bow. It doesn't have to be big. Like, it doesn't, like, I do take meat. Sometimes I'll go out just for a meat animal. But every animal is an opportunity when you're out bow hunting. Like, not every animal, but meaning the feral species, like what we bow hunt, the feral pigs, the deer, your rabbits, your foxes, like all those kind of animals. It just, anything's,
You're right, mate. I get what you're saying, right? Like,
I don't want to say every animal because people will get wrong about me, and I'm actually getting a bit nervous. So
no, but I get what you're trying to say. Like, it's like whether it's what people would say as a cull animal or an animal that you would take just for meat. Realistically, it should be looked at as a trophy, and because I'm still in the early stages of bow hunting, that's exactly how I feel. Like, any animal that I get a chance at, like, that's a new trophy for me. And that's something that's always going to stick with me. And I mean, I guess realistically, people who have been in the sport for years on end, they probably look at it, and the one thing that they probably would remember is their first kill.
Yeah.
And that would be a trophy for them for sure. And so I think no matter the animal, I do agree that yes, it's a trophy no matter what it is. In particular, if you're taking, like, if you're using that animal, if you're taking parts of it, so if you're taking it for like the fur, or if you're taking it for the meat, I think that's a trophy in itself, right? And something that's going to remind you of how good that experience was.
Yeah. Like, it took me, like, blood, sweat, and tears, like, from 2011 till this year, just to take my first record class animal. Like, and it's not from the lack of trying, it's just when it comes together, it just happens. Like, and I'm happy for any opportunity with a bow in the hand and out hunting. Like, sometimes some people, have really good access and, always have good animals or opportunities, and, and some people have very lack of opportunity. And, if it's an animal and an opportunity for that person, well, that could mean the world to them. It doesn't matter how big or how small. Like, it's a trophy in the person's eyes, like.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's cool. And so for you, like, how many hunts do you get out on each year?
Every chance possible. Like, some last couple of years has been a little bit slow, like, meaning for me, with work and, I had other prior things to deal with. But this year we got a bit of a hunting at Christmas and Easter for the rut when we went down home, because we're in Queensland and me and my partner are both from New South Wales, so he has family down there, so do I. So we go home each year, couple times, and sometimes we get opportunities for a weekend or a day hunt just to go around here where we are and chase some wild dogs or chase some deer or a rabbit or a pig. Like, it's sort of very hard to get access up here where we are.
Yeah.
But, you can always do hunts in between or travel home when we can. So,
what deer do you have up at Rocky? What's up there?
There's rooster deer up here. There is chital a bit higher.
Yeah.
But it's mainly rooster deer here in central Queensland.
Yeah, okay. And then a lot of pigs and a lot of dogs? Or is it not heavily populated there?
What was that? Sorry.
Is there a lot of pigs and a lot of dogs there? Or is it not so heavily
There is
populated?
a lot of wild dogs around this area. Like, I have seen them on the road, on the main roads, just trotting along. There is a few pigs. Like, it just depends where you hunt, I guess, or where you have the access. Like, there is certain areas you've got to travel a couple of hours to 8 hours, like, to have a good property to chase the pigs on.
Yeah, wow.
But
makes a big difference. I'm actually a Rocky boy. I was born in Rocky, and then I moved out west. We lived on a property out at Springshaw. And there's a fair few pigs out that way. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, there's no deer from what I know of out that way. There might be, like, around the areas and around, like, there's some gorges and stuff there that they'd probably hang out in, I'd say. But on the flat country where I actually came from, it was more like you had a lot of not a lot of wild dogs, but there's definitely a fair few wild dogs, and then you'd also see a fair few pigs. But I mean, I grew up just shooting the 22s and shooting rabbits, which is always fun.
I think a lot of the pigs up, like, this area, because it's so hot and, like, there's a lot of smaller properties close. Like, I think a lot of stuff's nocturnal, like the pigs. Like, but in summer, I guess the pigs have got to come to water. They've got no sweat glands, so, they need water. So if you can find water and you're on a private property hunting, and there's private water there, your best bet is to sit off a dam and just wait for them. Like, they're going to come to water eventually. Like, and that's what we found on one of the places that Brett has access to here. Like, we just go up every now and then and sit there and wait, and we've shot a couple of pigs off just coming into the water, and because the property owner has asked us to check it out because they were digging up his dams and stuff. So
It's crazy what damage they can do to land, right? Like they just ruin places. Like they'll take out whole paddocks if they could.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, funny that because at our archery club, we just getting the ranges set up, and our range one, we had a bit of rain there about a month ago, and just after the rain, we're halfway through, doing the course for the morning on our Sundays, and got halfway down the course and across the creek because we've got a real long shot that's 48 meters, maximum across the creek, and then you do a couple walkthroughs and then you come back up the other side. But there was pig digging all along there. I'm like, hello. And I'm like, and it's good to see that because you can explain to a lot of the new people within the sport and that are keen to bow hunt and, teach them, oh, that's pig digging, that's a pig track, like, look at that big dig in there, like, that is from a pig, like, and they're all, like, excited and taking photos of it and thinking, oh, yeah, so, but we haven't seen him, but there is diggings there, and it looks like a big, good old lone boar there somewhere, but
someone's going to get a live target one day.
No. I reckon someone might get a bit of a fright if he bolts out of the long grass up there because the grass is probably taller than, at least a couple meters tall. Like this is long, crazy, long, tall grass. So I say one day he'll bolt out of there, cross in front of someone, and they'll be like, whoa, not sure what to do. But, yeah, I say he's a good ball by the looks of it, so he's a good diggins.
Yeah, far out. So with your pig hunting, have you ever had any close encounters? Or I guess it can go across for your hunting in general. Has there ever been any close encounters for you? Yeah,
I've had 2 close encounters, and they were both with archery, like bow hunting. My first trip to Cape York, I literally, it was on the second last day, we went out the back on the property I was on, and there was like a dam that had a big washout out the back of it, and we just kept following that, and found this big bull bedded up in like around the lip of it, and I pretty well shot him at 2 meters. And he's got up, grunted, and he was a big bull when he come up out of there. And he went into just, out of the bank and onto, started walking in the long grass. And the 2 guys I was with was like, be ready to dance if you're going in the long grass. Like, be prepared. Like, don't underestimate these bulls, like, in Cape York. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, so the shot was good, but the pigs up there, they get adrenaline, and when they're big boars, they are tough. Like, then so I put another one into securing, and then he went down, and then like the boys said to me, the guys are like, do you know how to measure the tusk and like take the whole jaw out for bow hunting because, you got to boil them out, like, because with dog hunting and that, I used to just cut them off, and they're like, no, you can't cut them off because in case you cut the back of the tusk, like, you do it this way. And literally this pig, as soon as I put the bow down, they got the knives out, they were showing me how to do it. As soon as the guys put the knife on this big bull on the throat, like to cut the jaw, he stood up and grunted, and I turned around. One guy was up a tree, the other guy was in front of the pig, and I'm standing there, my bow's on the ground, and we've been hunting all day. I only had 2 arrows left, and as he's got up, he stood on one. And I'm like, and with ABA, like to claim that pig, I had to finish him off because, I shot him, and that's just the way it goes. So, and the other guys didn't have their bow, so it was only my bow there with 1 arrow left. I'm like, this is not going to be good. And so the guy on the other side of the pig slapped him. He's turned around, and this pig, I tried to lean down to grab my bow and pull it towards me, and this pig turned back at me, and he knew I was the one that hurt him. Like, he didn't worry about the other 2. And this pig is headbutting a tree into my face, like, and it was only a tiny little tree, and he's crunching his, like, jaw and pushing this tree against me. And I said to the guy, I said, as soon as you slap him, grab my bow, put the arrow on, and when he looks back at me, slap him again and passed me the bow at the same time. And as soon as he did that, I got it, put another one in, and he dropped. And I was just like, whoa, but this other guy was up a tree, and I'm like, what are you doing up there? Like, and I'm seriously, this pig, he was real long and real thick, only a young, big, solid pig. Like, he ended up measuring like 26 and so many points, but I could lay next to him. He was nearly as big as me. Like,
Holy
I'm
hell.
only 5'1" or something, but he was massive. And I was just like, and the boys are like, don't underestimate Cape York pigs because it's hot up there, the adrenaline, they get going, they're gonna, keep going. And I was just like, okay, from that day on, like, I had full respect for Cape York pigs because they are literally tough. Like,
That's insane.
the shot was good. And, he
Where
went
did you
over
hit him? Like, did you go back and examine it? Like, do an autopsy on him, essentially, when you cut him open?
Oh, well, the first shot was, like, straight down on him. So I could see, like, it went straight in, like, the ribs and the front. And then he's got up and just walked in the long grass. And I put another one in him. And he went down. And we left him for 10 or 15 minutes. Like, we just stood back. And then as we were walking up to him, he was just like taking his last breath. So we just stood there. Then the guy started talking to me, explaining to me, how to take the jaw out, how to measure him. Because and then he literally just, as soon as he just got that knife to touch, like on to touch him, to start, he's just got up and grunted and started.
That's so bizarre. So did you walk away with no scars? You had nothing from the tree?
No. Yeah. Other than the one broken arrow, that was it. Like, and it is an eye opener. And you think I would have learnt my lesson because this year in the rut we went down home and I was trying to chase a goat at Christmas time and last year in the rut. Like, he's not a big goat, but he's a big body goat. Like, they're always out in the open, and he's got the better of me. And we tried again in April. We seen him, spotted him, because it's only every now and then you see him, and they're always in the open. Like, there's certain areas where they are, so you got to sit bino for a bit and, see if you can spot him. When you spot him, you make a game plan. And we seen the goats, so, we dropped everything out of the car. We got our stuff. We hiked up high where they were. We got the wind right, we watched them. They were going down, feeding into a little thick gully. Thought, we can get down in there on them. I belly crawled. Brett was behind me where we were. I belly crawled all the way down to a dead tree, got 70 yards off him, and I was about to go a bit closer, and I heard, like, Brett give me a little call back, and I looked, and he was pointed, and I spotted a boar feeding up above him. So I went back to Brett, and he's like, the goats are going to be here every day. The pig, is a better opportunity, like, because every now and then you only, it could be you mightn't see him tomorrow, and the goats will be here tomorrow. So I said, Rio. So we waited till he fed it over the edge, and we went up a bit higher, and I come around, got on the lip of the ridge, and I was like looking, and he started feeding back towards me. So he's like, what past me? 10 yards. And I shot him perfect at 10 yards, and he went, chucked the Yui, ran back down to the right and down. And I said to Brett, he's gone back this way. And he goes, well, I'll just go over here and up a little bit to make sure he didn't go over, then up the gully, like the guts of the gully.
Yeah.
So I just walked down through the long grass, and there was a bit of a clearing, like, where there was one little tree on the left and a big patch of blackberry bush on the right. Mm-hmm. And I've just walked through there and heard, and I'm like,
just munching away.
Looked, and he was laying down. And as I was taking a few steps back, as I was putting the arrow on, he stood up, and he's standing up in the open, looking straight at me, ready to come straight out of this hole. And I'm like yelling out to Brett. He's come down. And as Brett's come down, I said, I'm going to go down a bit lower and thread one through, so I could get the right shot. but through the blackberries as well. Like, so I'm down the hill, Brett's standing in front of the hole. As soon as these arrows hit him, he's like, grunt, come out. Brett's got just won a new bow, like through Bowhunter down under mag. So Brett's had to use his bow to push him away. And then he swung around at me, but then as he's hit me, he sort of got up on his back legs and rolled down the hill and expired. And I'm like, are you serious? Like,
you and pigs, eh?
Oh, and it could have turned very ugly really quick. Like, he was only a young boar, but he only had little tusks, but still, they're like little dog ripper tusks. Like, they can still do damage no matter what. But I was just like, whew. That's gave me enough energy to get back to the car now.
Yeah, I bet. What an adrenaline dump.
Oh.
Did Brett win that Matthews they gave away?
Yeah.
There you go. That's cool.
And he already had a Matthew. Like, he's got quite a few bows, the same as me. Like, I've still got my first one from Day Dot, my Cape York, that I brought before going to Cape York. So I'm a PSC shooter. I've only ever owned PSCs. So I've probably got about 6-7 PSCs. So I collect them as well.
Yeah.
But, every bow that I've got, I've used. It's all taken a lot of game, and, it's still the original condition. I just, Brett's been teaching me to make my own strings for him, and, I do all my own fletching, and Brett teaches me, like, how to, to set up my bows, like, with the rests and the sights, and, like, he does help me a lot with helping set up stuff with my bow, but it's still a big learning curve for me, because I think if you've been in archery for 40 years or 50 years, you're still going to learn something new every day. There's so much to learn within archery. Like, you're going to learn something new every day. And
especially with how the bows are, like, they're changing year and year, right? Like, every year something else is coming out, and the different systems they've got set up now, like, the technical side of a bow is actually pretty extreme. I haven't dived super deep into it yet. There's bits and pieces that I'm starting to learn as I go, but it's only because I've watched people, like, do the technical stuff on my bow, and so it's pretty interesting just watching what they can do and how much they can change, and the different bits, like, for instance, with your strings, like how you can twist the strings just to make the shot different. Like, it's just things like that you kind of you don't really think of when you look at the bow by itself.
Yeah, there's a lot in string building. Like, there's specific programs, and you got to know, like, all the your cable lengths, and how many twists, like, and it's not easy. Like, Brett literally overlooked me every inch of step that I did when I was making my string for my Chaos, which I got set up as a bow fishing bow now. But like, the strings come out pretty good, he said. So I'm happy with that, and it's all a learning curve, like, and I've got to give out the shout to Ian Summers and Brett Perlow and all those guys. They, I can ask them a million questions and they'll answer me, like, they're like a bow hunting guru, Dad. Like, any questions you got, like, and they're happy to answer them. And like, it's being a female in this sport, I say a lot of things probably come naturally to the blokes, because it's sort of, they're probably more up to date with all the stuff and how to do it, where someone like me, I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to do all my setups, and Brett does help me a lot, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know half of the stuff that I do today. Like, Google's a good thing to watch a lot of stuff to learn little tips and techniques. And like Brad Murphy, you can ask them questions and they always help. Like, he's a good coach within the bow hunting scene and archery as well. So
Yeah, no, I've had both Brad Murphy and Ian Summers on, and they've both been very generous with their time and the amount of effort they've put in with the podcast themselves, but also just in questions that I've had for them both has been really good. And I mean, Brad's just about to change. He's got his whole new website and everything launching soon, which is really cool, which was, I think it's the bow hunting coach. And I think Ian is actually doing something similar soon, which is cool. So
yeah, well, they've got the Kyogre Adventures for the learning for
that's
the
right.
Bow
Yeah, that's
Hunters
coming up
course
soon. Yeah.
in June. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And so, can you talk me through fish, like the bow hunting for fishing? How's that work? Is there fish that you can get, like bow fishing? Is there fish that you can get, fish that you can't get? How deep can a shot go? Like all of that sort of stuff.
Well, you got your bow fishing, which is a category where you can be in a boat and a scaled fish, shark, stingray. So it doesn't matter.
Yep.
There's certain areas where, and you've got your barbs, if they're a record class one, and there's certain areas like up Darwin and Territory Way where you can shoot bigger stingrays, where if it's got to be in between 1.5, like, 1.5 from tip to tail, like they've got to be within that in certain areas, like here in Central Queensland.
So they have to be bigger than that?
No, they've got to be within that this area.
Yeah.
And you've got to only have one barb on you per person per day for like through the fisheries.
Yeah.
And you've got your bow hunting for fish, which is walking in the water. And that as well.
And so, like, when you're taking a shot on a fish in the water, for instance, like, can you only take it if it's pretty close to the surface, or can you take it if it's pretty low? Like, how do you kind of gauge that?
Well, I was always taught, like, when bow fishing, the fiberglass arrow is like putting a ruler or straw into a bucket of water. It goes in and floats.
Yeah.
So you got to shoot just before the fish, because as soon as your fiberglass arrow goes in, it sort of floats off.
Yeah.
So I generally walk in about ankle to knee high water.
Yeah.
That's what I do here. I've never actually bow fished out of a boat, so I can't tell you experiences on that because I've never done it.
Yeah.
But most of the time I just walk around in little bits of water, and you can see certain fish and you just aim just before them. Like, that's the tip I would give. But so I guess it depends on poundage too. Like, if you've got a really big strong bow, it'll probably just go straight in the water instantly. But I only shoot like probably about 45 pounds, so like it probably is a little bit slower going in and sort of floats a bit more.
So 45 pounds, that's what you do for bow fishing and regular hunting, bow hunting as well?
My bow hunting bow's set on about 47 pounds, and my target bow I use for archery at the range is probably set on about 43, 44. Just because, like, when you're bow hunting, you probably only get one shot here or there, and target archery, you're shooting 20 targets of a morning, 20 of an arvo. I have a 2-inch pin in my left collarbone, so I find a lesser poundage for target archery is better for me than my bow hunting bow. Like, which damn motorbikes, they'll always break your collarbones.
Yeah, it's not a nice way to go down. That's cool with the bow fishing. Like, it's something that I've seen all of the bits and pieces when I go to the archery shops. Like, I've seen it there and how it's all set up. And I've seen a few videos of people doing, I think they fish for carp. I'm pretty sure that's the fish they go after. Yeah. But yeah, never really kind of, I guess, looked past that side of things. When you are going for bow fishing, like, and you're just treading through water, are you are you just walking to a space that's essentially like a waterway where you can just sit and wait for them, or are you actively walking through the water?
I'm like, I just go down to the local beach here. There's a beach just here where I see a lot of stingray beds when it's low tide.
Yeah.
And then you go back at high tide. But the best bet is to go about 3 hours before the tide's coming in.
Yeah.
And then you just walk around, like, because you already know where the beds are. You've seen them in low tide, and you just walk around, and you'll spot them, like, swimming, like especially stingrays, you can see them. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can't see them. You might nearly stand on them before they take off.
Yeah. Have you ever stood on one?
No.
I have. They just flutter.
A real
it freaks you the hell
calm,
out.
Not windy day, like a bit of sun, it's...
So sorry about the cutoff there, but you were talking about on a clear day, when you go and you can just kind of see them coming through the water as such when you've found their beds already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
correct. So like if you go about 3-4 hours as the tide's coming in to high tide, you can see them swimming in, and it's just slow walking around in ankle to knee high deep water, and you can see them.
Yeah. And so, do you eat the stingray?
I have once, and I give a friend some stingrays as well. I always share stuff around with people. Like, there's an old guy I used to give a heap of rabbits to, and he would give me like ollies and a box of veggies. Like, it's like a trade system.
Yeah.
And like a few of the skins I've taken with deer, I've actually got tanned. I've got an old antique rocking chair here that I'm going to do up, and there's lots of things that you can use, like your antlers for knife handles, or I give some antlers and goat horns to people they make jewelry out of, and
that's super cool. We were actually very fortunate for our wedding. We got gifted a fallow rug, and it's incredible. Like, it sits in our room, and I love it. I reckon that was probably one of the best wedding gifts that we got.
Is it a Mannel fallow or a chocolate fallow?
No. What'd you say? What's the first one? A Mannel?
A Mannel, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a lighter colour.
Yeah.
With the white spots.
That's the one. So he actually gave it to us before I got into bow hunting, and I just I've always been interested in it, but then to get that as a gift, I thought that was really cool. Like, for someone to go and have to go through all the efforts of going and hunting their own animal and then being able to tan the skin and be able to give it to us as a gift, I thought that was just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. My Jack Russell always rolls around on my goat rugs that I've got on the floor and stuff like that. He loves them.
Yeah, I've definitely caught my dog playing with the rugs a few times. Like, had it in her mouth a few times. Like, oi.
Oh, no, he doesn't chew them. I've had to give him a couple of little chew antler things because he looks up at my casties. I'm like, they're mine. Like, they're like children. Like, they got bad habits.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's pretty crazy. There's I actually heard a story of a deer farmer down south who was burning all of his antlers because he didn't think there was any like, after he'd already used them. I think they pretty much harvest them they use the deer antlers for velvet. And once they'd used them, he would just burn them because he's like, oh, there's no use for them. But then he found out the dogs absolutely love them, and there's a whole dog market that he could have been selling them to.
I nearly fell over one day when I was seeing deer antler dog chews and how much they were one day in a pet store. I was like, oh, there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah, like for a tine, you literally pay probably $15-$20. Like, it's ridiculous, if not more.
Yeah. Casties are very hard to find, though. Like, if you come across the castie, it's nearly just as awesome as hunting, like, if you find a castie.
Yeah, I was so stoked. I found like a whole skull one day, and that, like, I had it in my head. I'm like, I'm going to find a castie. Like, I'm going to come across some out here. I know for sure because my uncle has done so beforehand.
Yeah.
Like, this is land that not a heap of people walk on. Like, they'll drive around through it, but don't go through the thick stuff, which I was walking through. I'm like, I'm definitely going to find something. And sure enough, on that day, I found a whole deer head. Like, it was just completely dried out. It's all white, just sun-kissed. It's so incredible. And I've just got it hanging up. It's mantled in my dining room now.
Cool.
Yeah, super cool. So you had quite the awesome experience this year. Like you said, you waited, or you've worked incredibly hard since 2011 until now, and it led you into getting your first big trophy. Can you kind of take us through that hunt?
Yeah. We headed down to New South Wales on the 28th of March. We had 3 weeks off, me and Brett. He went home to see his parents, and I went home to see my family, and we got a bit of hunting in between, and it was my 40th, so in April. So we headed off as soon as we got down there. We drove all Friday, got there Saturday morning, slept a little bit during Saturday. We checked our bows late Saturday afternoon, got our stuff ready. First thing Sunday, we headed out like 3:30 in the morning, and we started off. There was quite a few encounters, but on the last day, the last couple of hours of light and the last gully, I had a chance to have a good stalk on this buck that I had a couple of stalks on during the rut. And Brett had a chance at him on the first day, and I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it was a missed opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so on the last day, we got up real high. We knew where the buck had his scrape. We tried so hard to get the wind right because it was swirling around here or there, and we sat on the top of the mountain for half an hour or so, and the wind dropped out a bit, so we went, yep, rightio. We sort of headed over towards the scrape. It was sort of above the scrape. He was down lower, and we heard him started croaking, so Brett stopped there, and I took my exo pack off, my boots off, just grabbed me rangefinder and buggered me all. I was covered in Tufts clothing, looked down, and the only socks I had on was bright pink Explorer socks, and I was trying to hold my laughter in, but, it was so dry and crunchy. I thought, I've got to do this. So I dropped down a bit lower, and then I went across, and I sort of come back up on him a bit, and as I was stalking in on him, I got 70 yards, and when I got the 70 yards in the tree line, Brett was sort of like up above me, and over the gully above the bedded buck, croaking away in his scrape, was a satellite buck, but he was only a small buck. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting, because the buck I was after was below me a bit with 2 does, and he was bedded, and the does were up feeding, and he was croaking away. So this satellite buck started walking to the does, like across, but straight across to my line, and the 2 does were walking off feeding, and the buck was bedded. So this buck's coming across, and the big buck stood up and sort of chased him off a bit, and the does just kept feeding. But he didn't chase him too far. It was just like a bit of a run, and he sort of walked up the hill a bit. But then he's gone around the buck and headed towards me, this satellite buck. And this satellite buck is standing off me at not even 5 yards. And I'm drawing the bow back, thinking in my head, fire truck, don't wreck this for me. I've waited 11 days for this opportunity, and I thought it was all just going to be blown to bits, just by this satellite buck, and he's just picked me, and then kept walking, and then he got past me, so he got my scent, and then just took off straight up the hill, and then he ran into Brett, and then because there was a good probably 70, 80 yards or more in between where Brett was sitting in the trees to or the open than where I was standing in the tree line down below him. And then this buck just took off again up higher past Brett and just kept going. So this bigger buck that I was stalking in on was like looking, and the does are looking at him, probably thinking, what's this silly bugger doing? So while they were all looking, I've taken a few steps closer, and I got to 56, and then the buck ended up coming back around because he was up, because he chased the satellite buck off. He's like started croaking away and he scraped, and then he bedded back down. But when he's bedded back down, I could only see his back rump, and his head was behind the tree. But the does were up feeding, and they were feeding towards me, but up on an angle, because I was sort of up a bit higher from where they were. And I text Brett, and I said, I'm 56 yards. You know, he's like, yep, no worries, because I said to him prior, because he was hunting in different areas some days on his own, and I was sitting in this area just watching this buck, and I sort of worked him out. As soon as ever the does ran or something, he got wind of something, he took off back up that way. So I said to Brett, just be mindful, if something happens, he's going to go up there, and, you know, Brett might have got a chance on him.
Uh-huh.
But so I was trying to take a few more steps when the does had their head down feeding, and I got to 36 yards, and next minute, out of nowhere, in between the does and me, this chocolate spiker come flying up over the gully below me, and in between, so the buck was laying down, right? So he's got up, croaking away, he's come running in, chasing his spiker off. And just as I made a few more steps closer while he was, you know, busy chasing this little spiker off, the does picked me. And one of them just kept looking at me, and I thought, oh, no, you know. And Brett said to me, I got to 36, and Brett said, take 5 off for your droppage, because it's just a small town, you know, like, just be mindful of that, like, because he knew what angle I was shooting down on.
Yeah.
And the buck was sort of facing uphill, and he's come out and stood on this side of the tree, like in front of the tree, like, but he was still 36 yards away, but like the way I was looking at him. And I just put it on him and let the arrow fly. But as soon as the arrow hit him, he turned right around and then started running down. And all the emotions hit me then, because I thought, oh, no, you know, have I stuffed this up? You know, because I couldn't see. He turned that quick. I couldn't, you know, I knew where the arrow was going, and I put the pin exactly where I wanted it to go. And this buck just quickly turned and started going downhill and running. But as he was going, I noticed he was starting to drop, like his back legs were going. And I thought, oh. And I'm sitting there, like, nervous, and, you know, finally has this all come together after, you know, so many years for me. Like, it felt like the monkey was just off my back. And Brett's, like, come down the hill with my boots and my backpack, and he goes, how'd you go? I said, oh, I'm sure I got him, but, you know, I'm just, give me a sec. And I started to put my boots on, and he goes, did you see where he ran? I said, yeah, see where the leaves are scuffed up there? He went that way, but as he was going, I noticed his back legs were going down, like, you know, like he was going down. And Brett goes, yeah, there's blood here, blood there, and I'm doing up my second shoe, you know, up the second boot, doing the laces up. And he goes, there's blood here, you got him? And I'm like, what?
Oh,
like,
no way.
I don't know who had more tears, Brett from excitement from me after so long, you know, failed stalks or missed opportunities, or if I had the more tears because it finally all come together. But seriously, like, with the satellite buck, the spiker running in, the does running around feeding, you know, like, and the doe picked me as well. She was like just staring at me at the last minute, and I thought, you know, she's going to blow out of me in 2 seconds. It's only that he come back to the tree and just stood broadside, and as soon as he did that, I just drew back, like, and it was all over. And like, he only probably went about 30 yards down over the cliff a bit, and he was there, like.
No way.
And so.
How long was all of this, like, from the satellite buck onwards? Like, how long did all of that take?
I reckon it would have been probably 40 minutes to an hour, like, just all happening. Like, you know, it was just like, I was just taking my time, and I wanted to make sure I took my time and got the right opportunity. Like, you know, I just because they say deer got pretty sharp eyes. I was trying to move slow. I was trying not to move, too much. Like I always had me bow up ready and arrow on, me really say clip to the string. And I was just like, waiting and waiting, then I'll take a step, and it paid off eventually. And it was just so, I reckon I had a few runs that night, caping it all out and, clean it, because I've been taught how to cape if I want to cape a skin out, complete cape out. And the taxidermist guy I drop him off to, he's like, oh, you're the cleanest capes that come here. You can keep bringing them back here.
Yeah.
But, and that in alone, just learning how to cape out an animal for a mount, that's, something different to learn as well. So,
yeah, that's unreal. That's a really cool story. It's so good to see how it all came together as well. Like, there's so many opportunities that it could have gone wrong, and just that, obviously the persistence over so long of hunting has obviously helped you out with that as well.
Yeah, and there was days where prior to that where we walking up a creek line and we heard a buck croaking, and Brett's just sat off the pad and gave a rattle, and I could see the buck up. He was sort of up in front of me, but across the creek, like he was up in his scrape. And as soon as Brett gave a rattle, he gave a croak, then went quiet, then he gave another rattle, then out of nowhere, he's just popped up over the lip and nearly ran me over, not even 5 yards. And he just dead stopped and took off again. And Brett's like, couldn't you get an arrow in at 5 yards? I said, I didn't even see his antlers. He was just nearly ran me over and took off. I roughly seen it was a mental, but I didn't, it happened that quick. I was like, whoa, it was like a freight train coming at me. And then there was days where, where I've walked in on the dark, early morning, and get to a point where you can sit. And I've had, does walking past me, spikers walking past me, and I did take a spiker at 42 yards from me and cape and all that. And, he didn't go too far and he was down. We seen it, he went down from where I was standing, where I took the shot from, I could see him.
Yeah.
And, Brett had some good opportunities as well. So it was a good rut this year. Even though it was pretty tough and dry, we just took advantage of all the opportunities and just put in the hard yards every day. You have to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And
you come out kilos lighter.
Yeah, it's a good way to shed it off, definitely.
Yeah.
How, for you, what is a comfortable shot? How far out are you? Where's your border where you'd say, okay, that's no longer
Probably
a good shot for me?
20 and under.
Yeah.
I'm comfy with 20 and under. I've taken a lot of shots 20 and under, but I'm starting to practice in the backyard, those 40 yards, 50 yard shots. I took that spiker at 42 yards, and my big buck that I took on the last day, he was 30. I put my 30 smack on him, but he was 36 when I ranged him, but I just allowed for the droppage.
Yeah.
Only because I've got a lighter poundage bow. I've shot goats at 12 yards, just to know the goats and sit and watching them, getting close and personal with any animal is just breathtaking sometimes, any experiences, to understand the animals. And I believe, taking the time to clean the blood off or sitting, presenting the animal, because, I'm just lucky to be able to have that opportunity, to take their life, to be able to do what I do. But, to take that time and presenting the animal and to putting it at home and as a trophy, as a mount as well, there's no wastage, there's taking the, full respect of the animal.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's really cool. And so something else that you're doing that I think is absolutely awesome is setting up a club up in Rocky to help out with. Do you want to explain it for the listeners?
Well, as not me, but full draw field archers Brian Fring's the president. He's got the access to the land and setting up the club, but I'm a part of the club. I'm the Bowhunter instructor out there, a field measurer, and at the moment a field instructor, which is like you got to wait 12 months to become a coach. There's a few courses to do. We have a lot of scouts that come out there on Saturdays. They shoot the archery to learn how to do it. We have our ABA club there on Sundays. We have our shoots. We've only a new club started last year, but we've got up to over 50 members already. So we're slowly getting there. We've just got, the club's just got grants to get containers, to get facilities to make toilets and showers and,
That's awesome.
you know, to get a kitchen up and running. But we're slowly getting there, but it all takes time. But
And you were talking about with the Scout program and the disabled kids, like the different programs you've got going on with them.
Yeah, because where the land is actually the Scouts' land. So we lease a part of that land. Like there's so many acres that the archery club leases. So we've, in conjunction with that, the Scouts can come over and shoot on Saturdays. We have like 5 groups. They come and there's like 10 in each group, and we teach them. There's Brian, Barb, me, and one of the scout leaders. They come, they bring the children over, we teach them how to shoot. They're there for about an hour, then that group leaves, and then they'll bring another group over. Some of the disability kids, some have autism, some have ADHD, you know, and it's really good to see them getting out and enjoying the sport. And each week, you know, they shoot then a PB, or, you know, they're excited to be there just to see the kids smiling and enjoying and having fun. You know, as a bonus, like to be able to be there to share those moments with them. Like, you know, they'll come up and knuckle bust you saying, woo, or high five you, you know, like sometimes we pull up balloons for the kids to try and give them a smaller target to aim for. Like it'd be still on the ABA target, like face, but we just try and put a balloon there for them to pop, like just, you know, like because they think, oh yeah, I got it, you know, like, and some of them are very excited and to be able to achieve that, like, because shooting like a Genesis bow, pretty well bare bow, you know, just a bow and an arrow, there's nothing else, and to even get it with that, like, I struggle, but it's like some kids will get it straight away, but like I said, it's always learning something new in archery. So
I can imagine that the kids, like the autistic kids and the ADHD kids, they would actually really thrive off of something like archery because it's so narrow focused. Like to give them one thing to focus on is like some of the best things you can do for the disabled kids like that. So that's incredible. I think they would absolutely thrive and love that.
Yeah, there's a couple of kids there now where even the parents say, oh, we've tried him with every sport, it doesn't work, only works for a couple of weeks, but archery, they've been coming for like 2 or 3 months, and they're going, it's so good for their concentration, like, and there's a lot of kids like, you know, come back each week, and it's good to see them out there on the range and to learning new things. Like they'll ask a million questions, what's that for in your bow, what do you got that, and what's this do? And, you know, like I've been trying to help a lot of kids within the sport at club. Like I've been cutting arrows for them, fletching arrows for them, or, you know, trying to help them out with secondhand equipment, or, you know, to help them get set up if they do purchase a bow, or, you know, like, and there's a lot of things where some kids, you know, I need a couple sets of binos, like, you know, kids would love to have those, like, because I lend them mine sometimes, and, you know, like, every now and then I'll see something cheap that I think one of them needs, and I'll try and grab it for them just to help them out. Like, they're all appreciative of it, and they all look after it.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's really cool. You're a good heart, mate. That's awesome. So how long? Oh, sorry, go on.
No, you're right. I was just going to say our first archery competition for the Full Drill Field Archers is coming up in November, on the 2nd and 3rd of November, if anyone's keen to come up and have a shoot.
Definitely. So what's entailed with that? Like how do people get involved?
You can just, you nominate the week before, and that's through like the ABA. You just put your nominations in for your club, or you can just ring up and let us know you want to come. And it's a Saturday, Sunday event, so you'll shoot your 20 targets on Saturday morning, 20 targets on Saturday arvo. You'll have probably the raffle and dinner, and then Sunday you do the same. You got your 20 targets on morning, 20 of an arvo, and then you got your presentation. So, and we're got a raffle happening. So
Unreal. Can people be involved in the raffle if they're not coming?
yeah, anyone can donate. Where I've got a letter I can send through emails if anyone wants to donate anything for our raffles. I can pass on that letter from our club.
Okay, well, I mean, there's a bit of time there, so if there's anyone listening that wants to get on board with that, I'd say definitely get amongst it for sure. Well, listen, we have come just over an hour, but I did want to talk to you about your archery, like more so with the field target shooting that you've done, like your ambitions with that. So what you've done previously, but then what you want to do, and I believe that you've got a friend with the Benchmark 3D as well.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of target archery is a lot different to bow hunting. I've always sort of done bow hunting like since 2011, but I'm trying to learn more about the target side of it. Like, it's not as easy as what people think it is. Like, it can be easy for some people because they're natural at it. You know, like I'm just getting the target bow complete setup, like with what I need to be able to shoot with the products that I want to shoot and use. And also with that, I just want to become a better target archer, like, and to learn more about it. But my mate is also just started a new business up, which is called Benchmark 3D Shooters Association. So on the 29th and 30th of August in 2020 at Tweed Heads, there's a benchmark money shoot. So there's all different categories. It's open to men, women, children, and there'll be prize money up for grab. So whatever the top 5 or top 10 shooters are for that day in that category, you have a shootout, and whoever wins the shootout, maybe the top 5 will receive prize money, and that can be anywhere up to $2.5 to $3,000 down to $250 or $100. So that is just a new page on Facebook. So the Benchmark 3D Shooters Association. There's going to be more info uploaded within now to the shoot in the 29th to 30th of August next year.
That's unreal.
So anyone can fly in. You can be in the ABA, 3D, AAA, IFA, any organised archery or any club. You can just come and shoot. You don't even have to be in a club. You just come, shoot, pay your nomination fee, and then you pay insurance, and then you can just shoot. Like, it's all 3D targets, so there's going to be a lot of people there and a lot of big name people within the sport, like Jock Thompson and Brett Perlow and Benny Doyle. Like, they're all good guys to help if you're after any information. Like, they're all pretty good to speak with and give you good answers.
That's unreal. That's really
and
cool.
Good help.
I like the idea that you don't have to be a part of a club or anything like that. Like, it seems like it's very all-inclusive, which is awesome.
Yep.
With that, like, is there any rules around your arrows or anything like that when you go and shoot at a tournament like that?
I'm not quite sure on all the rules and regulations with the Benchmark 3D Shooters Association. I'm sure they'll upload their rules with all the conditions of the shoot. I have target arrows. I'm sure anyone could shoot what arrows that you shoot out of your bow. I'm just making sure they don't have a broadhead on the end of them. But so just as long as they've got a field point and the arrows and setup. There's, like I said, there's different categories. So once all the rules and regulations are up on the page, it'll be more clarified within that information. But I'm positive, no, I don't think it would matter.
Yeah.
As long as they don't have a sharp broadhead on the end of them.
That's cool. So I guess we'll start to wrap it up. So, I mean, people can find you at EGR_bowhunting on Instagram. You've also got EGR Bowhunting on Facebook. I guess one question I would love to ask you before we do wrap is, what would be your I guess takeaways? No, what would be your advice, I should say, for new female bow hunters? So someone who's looking to get into the sport that hasn't maybe taken the leap yet. Potentially, maybe they think that it's a boys' club or something like that. Like whatever the insight or whatever the thing that might be holding them back, what would be the thing that you would kind of tell to them?
I would just believe go to an archery shop. Pick a bow that you're comfortable with. Like, it might be too heavy, or, you know, like, pick something that you're comfortable shooting with. There's a lot of people that are willing to teach you. Just get in contact with, you know, just via Messenger with people. The females that, you know, there's quite a few females within the sport now already, but there's a lot of guys out there that will help and explain a lot of information to females. I'm not really sure because I'm not a girly girl. I've always been the tomboy, but yeah, like anyone can ask me any question, and if I can help, I will help in information or trying to help them get gear or to help them within the sport. Well, if that's what you would like to call it, a sport. But to me, hunting's hunting. It's always been around since day dot, and it's just something we all do. Yeah,
definitely. No, that's really cool. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. I think it's been a really cool podcast. It's awesome to hear some of your experiences, and like those near misses where they're pretty crazy stories, but they're I think they're definitely insightful in themselves. Like the amount of time you actually need to give a beast, and then also just checking over them before you get in too close. Like that's obviously something big. No, I've seen some pretty crazy videos out there on YouTube and stuff, but those stories that you told are great. I think they're awesome. But yeah, thank you. Is there anywhere else that they can reach out to you? So EGR_bowhunting on Instagram, I think would probably be one of the best places.
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. There's, you know, my page, Elissa Rosemond as well. That's my private page. But, you know, if anyone wants any information or to ask any questions, you can send me a message, and when I'm not at work, I can get back to you.
That's unreal. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, mate.
You're welcome.
That's it. That's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for joining us this week. If you have not already, please do hit subscribe. If you want to leave us a great little review, that would also be highly appreciated. However, follow along with our journey at becomingabowhunter.podcast on Instagram and Facebook. You can also check out our website, which is www.becomingabowhunter.com. And if you want to email me of any guests or any questions that you would like answered on the podcast, then you can get in touch with me via email at matty@becomingabowhunter.com. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Make sure you join us next week. Big love from us at Becoming a Bowhunter.